Recent NEO shares have really seen quite the increase in price. Just look at what we saw on the last trading day of the week. We've seen prices increase by 3.42%, not bad at all. Zoom out to that 5-day chart and you're going to be seeing those even bigger gains. The past month, that's looking a little bit better, where we're seeing the prices increase from around about 347, 350, all the way up to where we are now. Actually, we went a bit higher, crossing over the $5 mark. And the 3-month picture, when you zoom out to that, well, you can really see the context of this recent increase. Now, this is all good news, and the question is, where do things go next for NEO? We've got quite a nice little pattern forming here, and we'll get into that in a second. But really, what we're looking at with NEO is going to be some important and key fundamental news. So, we are seeing NEO stock price obviously rising amidst hype for the L90, and the question is what's going on, and ultimately, is it a good buy? Now, we're seeing NEO's share price rebound in the last few days. The ONVO L90 pre-orders have surged into more than 30,000. Now, the technicals point to more short-term gains, or at least they did at the time of this being written, on the 15th of July, but the question is, where do things go? So first I want to talk about the L90. Now, NEO stock has seen this surprising rebound, to be honest, in the last couple of weeks, and that's been helped by the orders for the upcoming brand. The shares have jumped to a high of 416 obviously at the time, and we're now seeing the price really quite increase. At the time of this article being written, we saw 42% gains above the lowest level of the year. So we need to talk about the ONVO L90 SUV, right? Because this is potentially going to be something really good. Now, this is going to be very competitive. The ONVO L90 starts at around $39,000, which is lower than comparable brands, a sign that the company wants to undercut its rivals. In a recent note, Deutsche Bank analysts noted that its monthly sales could jump over 10,000 over time. So ONVO plans to launch a new ultra-large SUV, the L80, in September. This too could sell fairly well, as much as 5,000 vehicles a month or more. Media reports have suggested that the L90 is recorded to have between 30 and 35,000 pre-orders. The order book is expected to continue to rise as the price is anticipated to decrease towards its official launch. At the same time, NEO orders and revenues keep rising. The most recent delivery numbers show that NEO delivered 24,925 vehicles in June, a 17% annualized increase. Its deliveries in the second quarter jumped to 72,000, and that is up by a quarter. Most of its vehicle deliveries were from its premium brand known NEO, whilst ONVO sold 6,400 vehicles, lower than expected, 10,000 monthly. So things still looking good, right, for the brand overall. These numbers will help to establish or publish strong financial results in the coming months. Analysts expect that the numbers will show revenues jumping by 15% in the second quarter to 20 billion from the same period last year, right? So this is very good. And this is obviously in CNY. So that's an important thing to consider when we're talking about the revenues. But generally speaking, good stuff, or stuff that could be considered to be very good going forwards. The question is, how does this continue to play out in the price of NEO, and how are these fundamentals going to change things going forwards? Now, at the same time, it is being reported that in July, vehicle sales were down slightly. So on Friday, NEO reported it has sold 21,000 vehicles in July, which is a 15.7% reduction since June, though up slightly year over year. Rivals including BYD and Li Auto also posted month-over-month drops. So obviously that is important to consider, not something directly impacting specifically NEO, right? This is obviously seeming to be a bit of a market trend. Again, the L90 is going to be priced below Tesla's Model Y, which is China's best-selling SUV. The question is, can they gain a bit of that market share? But of course, you guys probably knew all of that. The question is, what happens next with NEO? And of course, it's impossible to say with any degree of certainty. I'm just going to be giving you guys, of course, the key levels that I am looking for, the key things that I'm looking for, and then of course, you guys can do your own research in your own time and make your mind up. Perhaps this is just going to be pointing you in the right direction. So, on a fundamental basis, it seems that things are relatively strong for the brand. But on a technical basis, whilst we are seeing that massive rise, the question is, where do we go next? Well, the first thing that we're going to be looking for, or at least I'm looking for on the upside, is seeing if we can break past previous levels. Now, the levels that we're at right now, 385, 384, we've seen a little bit of a challenge here before. Just look back to here, right? We have seen this level work as a little bit of resistance back here, and the question is, can we break past it again? Again, somewhat around a slightly higher level here, we saw a similar thing. If we can break past that, we could be looking to go as high as the $4.99 $5 mark, where we've seen a lot of resistance previously, right? We've seen it here, we've seen it here, we've seen it here. The question is, if we go up again, would we see it there? If we're able to consolidate there, we could be potentially looking at a further rise, but obviously if not, we could be looking to go to the downside, which brings us nicely on to what we could be looking for in that regard. So if we were to see this start to drop a little bit, the question is, where do we go? Now, this one's a little bit more difficult to say because we've seen such a large rise with not that many levels of support. With that being said, there are some key levels that stand out to me at least. If we were to see this drop, I think we could be looking to go down to the 450 mark. This has been a previous level of support. If you have a look here, 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 so these all scream out to me as a potential level of support. Past that, we could be looking to drop as low as a 444 mark, could be looking to drop even lower than that, go into the 420s, or even round about the $4 mark itself, which we've seen work as a support obviously here, and actually round about here as well. So the question that does very much become, how likely is this to hold up? But obviously, like I always recommend, guys, for me personally at least, it's going to be more of a comprehensive approach. When you look at this based on fundamentals and technicals, you can get a bit more context as to what's actually going on. And in the regards of actual news for the brand, things are looking pretty good, right? Things are looking generally quite good. We're seeing a potentially very competitive new vehicle coming out. We've seen a lot of hype around the brand. We've seen generally decent sales figures coming out of the company. If this is to continue, and if the hype surrounding this continues, and if obviously the most important thing, mind you, the actual vehicle deliveries and the actual pre-orders and orders for vehicles going forwards continue to grow, continue to remain relatively high, I think we are at a point here where we could see this stock continue to rise. Obviously though, at this point we are in kind of uncharted territory for the last couple of weeks, at least for the last couple of months. Do bear that in mind when making your own decisions, but of course I am not an advisor. You're going to have to do that bit of research by yourself. But yeah, I'm looking for those levels around 450 at the low end, at the high end potentially around 5. If we're in this channel, if we remain in this channel like we have done for the past couple of days, or even potentially over a week now, things are still pretty good. I'm looking for a break outside of this channel, 5 on the high end, 450 on the low end. Anything outside of that would be abnormal. But yeah, if we continue to drop down past that level, we're seeing some new lows potentially, at least for the past couple of weeks. And if we continue to rise above that level, we're looking at 5 and above, which is obviously going to be pretty good territory. That's just my opinion though. Of course, let me know what you think to it in the comment section. Thank you so much for your time. If you found this one useful or enjoyed it, make sure to give it a like and subscribe. And I hope I'll see you in another one very soon. Goodbye.